We're living in one of the greatest intellectual technological revolution. In less than 3 years, ChatGPT went from a curious experiment to a mind that learns, reasons, and speaks with us. This isn't a simple timeline. This is the story of humanity's first successful attempt to build a truly intelligent machine, a story told not in decades, but in a breathtaking sprint of innovation. The internet broke. OpenAI released their first public model, GPT 3.5. It was the first time an AI had been trained not just to predict words, but to understand what humans considered a good answer. This technique is called RLHF, also known as reinforcement learning from human feedback, a loop where humans rated the generated outputs. And while it still stumbled, its initial steps were groundbreaking. Its answers were twice as truthful as its predecessor, and hallucinations dropped from 41% to 21%. The numbers tell only part of the story. Within 5 days, 1 million people had signed up. 2 months later, it had reached 100 million monthly users. Students stopped Googling homework questions and started discussing them. Writers found a brainstorming partner that never got tired. Customer service representatives watched chatbots solve problems they couldn't. This was the sunset of human only intelligence and the dawn of the age of human AI collaboration. OpenAI released GPT 4, and for the first time, an AI could see images and understand them as deeply as text. But this wasn't just about adding vision. GPT 4 represented a fundamental leap in training methodology. They had scaled up their neural networks to unprecedented size, feeding the model vastly more data and computational power. The result was a significant leap in cognitive abilities. On the bar exam, GPT-4 scored in the 90th percentile, jumping from GPT 3.5's 10th percentile. That's the difference between a failing student and expert practitioner. SAT math scores soared from 70th to 89th percentile. Coding accuracy jumped from 48% to 67%, and hallucinations dropped by 40%. Suddenly, architects could sketch building concepts and get structural analysis. Doctors and patients could upload medical images and receive diagnostic insights. Teachers and students could photograph handwritten math problems and get step by step solutions. The boundary between human and artificial expertise began dissolving. By this point, ChatGPT had reached 100 million weekly users, a testament to its adoption and essentialism. And with the release of GPT-4 Turbo, it came with a superpower, perfect memory. With an extended 128,000 token context window meant it could remember entire books, legal documents, or research papers within a single conversation. Writers could upload their entire manuscripts for editing and feedback. Lawyers could feed it complete case files. Students could share their semester's worth of notes and get personalized study guides. But the real revolution was economic. It was 3 times cheaper and twice as fast. AI wasn't just getting smarter, it was becoming accessible to everyone. This was the moment AI learned to speak our language. With the release of their first Omni model, GPT 4o, it shattered the final barriers to natural conversation. It was the first single model with the capabilities to seamlessly process text, images, and audio simultaneously. 232 milliseconds. That's how fast GPT 4o could respond to spoken questions, faster than most humans can even process what they've heard. Suddenly, talking to AI felt like talking to the smartest person you'd ever met, except they were available all the time, never tired, never impatient, and never forgot anything you discussed. The future of human computer interaction wasn't typing, it was talking. OpenAI released o1 preview, and it was the first time we could watch a machine think before responding. And through this new approach called chain of thought reasoning, the model has the ability to break down complex problems step by step, consider multiple approaches and strategies, weigh different possibilities, change its mind mid-process, and even learn to recognize and correct its own mistakes. Just a few months later, the full o1 models were released with vision, allowing it to look at a complex problem and think through it. Engineers could photograph broken machinery and watch AI methodically diagnose failures like a master technician. Radiologists could upload medical scans and observe diagnostic reasoning unfold with surgical precision. We weren't just getting better answers, we were witnessing the birth of transparent artificial consciousness. And by the end of 2024, ChatGPT had reached 300 million weekly active users, proving that AI wasn't just a novelty or a trend, it was becoming the invisible infrastructure powering human progress across every domain imaginable. With the release of o3 Mini, it emerged as the world's first AI specialist, abandoning the race to be good at everything in favor of being extraordinary at one thing. It achieved superhuman expertise in its domain by being trained exclusively on mathematical, coding, and scientific data. Research laboratories gained a tireless colleague that could work through quantum mechanics equations. Physics students found a tutor with infinite patience for complex problems. Engineering teams discovered a partner that could simulate thousands of iterations. This was the start of an era of AI specialists. 4 weeks later, OpenAI released GPT 4.5. This model was trained by scaling unsupervised learning, compute, and data, and designed for human collaboration. It resulted in a model with broader knowledge, higher emotional intelligence, and a deeper understanding of the world across a wide range of topics. But the real breakthrough was it learned nuance, context, and empathy. It became a partner with taste and personality, able to understand tone, mood, and intentions. Therapists began using it as a practice partner. Writers collaborated with it as a creative companion. Teachers found assistants that could adapt complex concepts to match any student's learning style. GPT 4.5 marked the moment AI began to truly understand the human experience. OpenAI released GPT 4.1, 4.1 Mini, and 4.1 Nano. These models outperform 4.0 across the board, with major gains in coding and instruction following. With a 1 million token context window and improved long context comprehension, they could ingest and analyze entire code bases in a single pass. And the breakthrough was accessibility, lower cost, and faster latency. For the first time, cutting-edge intelligence wasn't locked behind barriers. OpenAI released o3 and o4 Mini, the most advanced reasoning systems ever built. They were engines of thought, capable of extended contemplation, autonomous tool use, and independent decision-making. Imagine a research assistant that could read every paper in your field, cross-link discoveries you'd overlooked, and propose experiments you'd never imagined. That was o3. In labs across the world, breakthroughs weren't only accelerated by AI, they were emerging through AI itself. The line between artificial help and artificial discovery began to blur, and for the first time, digital minds were generating original insights. OpenAI introduced o3 Pro, the pinnacle of artificial reasoning. It could think longer, allocate more compute as problems demanded, and utilize its expanding toolkit with precision. To name a few: searching the web, analyzing files, interpreting visuals, coding, and shaping responses using memory and personalization. In rigorous evaluations, it outperformed O3 across every domain: math, science, business, writing, and education. Its outputs carried greater clarity, depth, consistency, and accuracy. For those tackling the hardest problems, reliability mattered more than speed, and O3 Pro delivered. In some fields, the gap between human and machine didn't just shrink, it collapsed. OpenAI released their new flagship model, GPT-5. It wasn't just another model, it was proof that artificial general intelligence isn't on the horizon, it's here. Built with breakthrough training methods that fused unprecedented scale with refined reasoning, GPT-5 has the capability to solve problems once thought impossible. It achieved 94.6% accuracy on advanced mathematics. It solved 74.9% of software engineering challenges, and it mastered 84.2% of multimodal tasks that requires a unified grasp of text, images, and context. But the deeper revolution wasn't just intelligence, it was trust. For the first time, brilliance came paired with honesty. Deception rates dropped to 2.1%. Hallucinations fell by nearly half compared to GPT 4.0. GPT 5 wasn't only smarter, it was reliable. This wasn't a step forward, it was a shift in what we believe technology can be: not only powerful, but trustworthy. And with GPT-5 at the helm, ChatGPT is set to surpass 1 billion weekly users, becoming the fastest growing technology platform in history and marking the moment we stop asking when AGI will arrive and start realizing we're already living with it. 1,000 days. That's how long it took to go from curious chatbot to evolve into something approaching digital consciousness. Each breakthrough built on the last, learning, iterating, evolving, improving. From reinforcement learning with human feedback to scaling vast neural networks, chain of thought reasoning, specialized domains, and finally multimodal integration, we are witnessing the systematic climb towards solving intelligence itself. Lawyers worked alongside AI partners. Doctors were empowered by diagnostic companions. Teachers were supported by tutors that adapted to every student's learning style. Programmers were accelerated by coding partners that understood intention as clearly as syntax. But this story was never about replacement, it was about amplification. The goal of creating artificial intelligence was never about taking jobs, but to expand human possibility. As 2025 draws to a close, with over a billion people using AI every week, the turning point is clear: not when machines became human, but when humans and machines became collaborative partners in the greatest intellectual adventure in history. And what's exciting is this is only the beginning. The question is no longer what artificial intelligence is. The question is what we will build, create, discover, and solve together. The age of augmented humanity has begun, and history will remember this moment as chapter 1.